How's it going, crazy koalas? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys missed the live stream, the podcast that I had with Salty Lad Gaming, we agreed that we were going to do battle. That's right. We are going to war, crazy koalas, and I'm excited to get this underway. So what we decided was, you guys decided on stream that I should be playing with the Mewtwo deck and Salty should be playing with the Metal deck from the Pokemon Go V Battle Deck bundle. Now normally I bring somebody in and we do the challenge one-on-one against each other here, but I decided to challenge Salty and see whose deck building skills gets them further. So before I go into how I built the deck, let's just talk about the ground rules that we discussed between each other. There were 3 ground rules in particular. One, you could add 2 V Battle Bundle decks, right? So essentially I have access to 2 Mewtwo V decks and Salty has access to 2 Metal V decks. Then the second thing that we discussed was that the deck has to contain 40 cards, 40 card minimum has to be from the V Battle bundle itself. So what that means is 40 of the cards have to come from the starter deck and the little pack that it comes with, which has like Professor's Research, Boss's Orders, Rare Candy. So it has to come from that sealed box, 40 of the cards, 66%. Then for the cards that we are adding, an additional rule that we added was we cannot spend more than $10 on singles. So it is 2 decks, of which 40 of the cards have to come from those 2 starter decks sealed, and then you can add up to 20 cards that goes to the value of $10, right? So let's have a look at how I spent my $10. With my $10 budget, it was quite obvious that there were a couple of things that I required. But with a Mewtwo V deck, naturally the most expensive card that I added, and one that I had to add, was the Mewtwo V-Star from Pokemon Go. This card synergizes very well with the deck strategy that I'm going with, because it allows you to discard energies from your Pokemon to put out more damage. With that being said, the deck comes with Lunatones and no Solrocks, so it was a given that I was going to add some Solrocks. So I'm adding 4 copies of Solrock to the deck. Solrock synergizes with Lunatone, getting energies out of the discard pile. Mewtwo V-Star is a big attacker by discarding energies from Pokemon in play. This was a no-brainer. The next thing the decks are lacking is Pokemon Search, and I used a lot of my 20 card edition to put into Pokemon Search. So to start off, I added 4 level balls. This searches for Solrock and it searches for Lunatone. I then added 2 fog crystals. This allows us to search for Lunatone, Mewtwo, and if we need it, it gets psychic energies on the fly. Then I also added 2 quick balls. Quick balls just allow us to search for any basic Pokemon, but it also allows us to discard cards which will get energies in the discard pile to allow Solrock and Lunatone to really hit off. The deck lacked a little bit of drawing power, but more so, it lacked complete disruption. There was no disruption in the decks as they came, so I decided to add 3 copies of Marnie, took a little bit of a chunk of the budget, and then spent the rest of the budget to go with a little bit more synergy, throwing in 2 Pokestops, because of the discarding factor to allow Lunatone to be explosive, and because we are focusing more on the 1 prize side of this deck, I also included in 1 ordinary rod to allow us to shuffle some Lunatones back into the deck if need be. So that is my upgrade and what I'm adding. So let's have a look at what the deck came out to look like in the end. So here we have our deck in entirety. First off, we have 2 Mewtwo Vs that came from each of the starter decks, and the 1 Mewtwo V-Star as discussed. We then have 4 copies of Lunatone and 4 copies of Solrock. Very straightforward, very to the point, trying to make Lunatone the main attacker of this deck and almost making Mewtwo a backup or a big play at the end of the game. Moving on to trainer cards, starting with supporters, we have 4 copies of Professor's Research that came with the bundle. We then have 3 copies of Shauna to allow us to shuffle cards back into our deck if required. It's a pretty vanilla supporter, but it was free as it was in the deck build. The 3 copies of Marnie that we added, and then of course inside the V Battle additional pack, then we got our Giovanni's, 3 of them, because you got 2 in that starter bundle. Going on to the Pokemon searching cards, we've got 4 copies of Great Ball, we have got 4 copies of Level Ball, we have 2 copies of Quick Ball, 2 copies of Fog Crystal, and then just for Mewtwo V-Star, we have 1 copy of Evolution Incense. On top of that, we also have 2 egg incubators just for additional Pokemon search. We kind of ran out of budget. We've got 2 energy switches if we need a clutch play to get a knockout with Lunatone, bringing energies that may have been attached previously. We've got 2 switches in case we get into trouble, and that ordinary rod that I said that will allow us to recur some of our Lunatones, and we have 2 times Pokestop for that also adds to the synergy of the deck and allows us to get some items. Over and above that, we also have 4, 8, 12, 14 psychic energies in the deck. This allows us to have more than enough fuel to take on what is probably going to be a tank of a Melmetal VMAX. And there you have it. That's my deck upgrade. Salty's deck upgrade video is in the description below, so go check out what he did and let's see who is going to be the victor of our epic battle, right? So keep an eye on my Facebook page. If you haven't already, go subscribe to Salty Lad Gaming's YouTube channel. Go follow his Facebook page. We'll put a little bit more information about when the battle is going to take place on our social medias, so make sure to find us there. You can check out my other social medias as well. Facebook.com/Kahuna Koala for Facebook, at Kahuna Koala on Instagram, Patreon.com/Kahuna Koala if you want to support the channel in a more generous way. You can catch me on Twitch, Twitch.tv/Kahuna Koala. I am live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. so don't miss it. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and once again, thank you to the sponsors Solarpop and Unplug Yourself for sponsoring these decks. Solarpop, our premium importer of board games and toys, and Unplug Yourself, join the tabletop revolution. I'm Kahuna Koala. I'm ready for battle. Let's go, crazy koalas. I'm out. Peace. I would like to give a shout out to all of my Patreons. Without you guys, none of this would be possible. No matter what the tier is, no matter how long you've been a Patreon for, I appreciate you.